Alright, so Taz just had some water bowl hijinks, and I ended up with a ton of water from the bowl all over my foot and the bathroom floor while I was filling up the jug for it because he couldn't wait on me. So, handled. Like, I just drank a ton of it. um, anyway, so I was questioning whether I was even going to do a video today since yesterday's got fucked up. I ended up finally doing one. I think it was around 4 o'clock in the morning when I was done with it. I tried to put it on my computer and nothing was cooperating, so I gave up on it last night. Was debating on just deleting it off, and today I feel like I need to post it anyway because it's, more family drama BS that I really just needed to get out of my system. Not maybe necessary overall, but I feel like, why not? I figure since I'll have this one to post quickly afterwards, if it gets buried, that's fine, but maybe at some point somebody needs that bullshit. I don't know. Anyway, I went to bed at it's probably close to 5 o'clock, 5:30 this morning. So obviously I did nothing today. I mean, I did put the earrings into this because that's important. And the necklaces. My aunt called me as I had just found clothes to put on, and I was up and moving, but I was barely moving. And she said she looked outside her house and saw that they had her driveway blocked because they're doing all this construction. And she needed a ride to her therapy appointment, so it's fine. So she came over here and I took her, and luckily ours you can get out on. It's been really inconvenient when they have blocked my grandma's, my aunt's, and our driveway. It doesn't happen very much, but it has happened a couple times. And when they did it, it wasn't, I might have been able to go through somewhere, but they were pouring concrete, so I figured it would probably be safer to let it have a little bit. So, yeah. Anyway, today we realized that, so currently across the road is a cornfield. Obviously been there forever. My drumline instructor used to make a big joke calling us children of the corn, just because there were so many cornfields around here. That have largely turned into neighborhoods at this point. That one's going to at some point. And they are currently putting the entrance of the neighborhood, which is now currently corn, right in front of my aunt's house. It's like, you didn't even notice that, did you? And she said, no, thanks for ruining my day. Sorry. But she had to walk over here so we could go out and go past her house anyway, because it's a one-way road. But yeah, she managed to miss that until I pointed it out. She was not happy. She asked if I could take her to her appointment. She said we could go get lunch real quick. And, she had a couple thoughts on that. And it's like, well, her appointment was at 1. And it was, 12 o'clock when she was messaging me. She said, I looked to make sure I could get out, and I could before, but now I can't. So would you possibly be able to take me? She said, is it going to take you a long time to get ready or whatever? It's like, I said, I can just say, forget the makeup today. I said yesterday was a long enough day that as long as I get, I get clothes on and get my contacts in so I can wear my sunglasses, and aside from that, I'm fine. So we just rolled with that today. I was hoping for a little bit of a break, honestly, from my family, and I don't think that's going to happen. My mom sent me a message at 2:54. It is currently 3:40. And she said, she said that they were probably going to get released tomorrow. And then she comes back a few minutes later and says, today. I was like, not tomorrow? She said, no, the neurologist said we can go today. It's like, yeah, well, tell me when you actually have the paperwork and everything, and I'll come back and, you know, bring the car back to take you home. But not until we're ready to walk out the damn door, because I've made that mistake before. And it ends up just wasting a whole lot of time. So, figured I'd try the video first and make sure I could, see if I could get that handled before I do get summoned. Really irritated because I just threw some laundry into. I got my clothes out there separated on the living room floor because nobody's home. It's real easy to, do that way. And now they're coming back to interrupt my laundry day. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but I was honestly just hoping I'd get a couple days without them here. So much for that idea. My brother and I were talking about this dog situation. And I told him that my mom made a comment that the lady with the rescue, after my mom told her that they were going to keep her, a little shadow puff, she said they were going to keep her, and then the lady said that she's come so far in just the short amount of time that she's been with us. It's like, literally just because of me. And I was like, what are they going to do when I'm not here? Because I guarantee she's probably going to revert into old habits because, they don't work with her. That's me. Anything that she has been getting worked with is because I've done it. They'll let her out of an evening, before bedtime or whatever. And they'll just when she starts looking at the door like she's ready to come in, they will open the door and just leave it wide open. So we have the screen propped open and the back door propped open, and we're just letting bugs in the house. It's like, that doesn't work. And she might come, she has this tendency where she will stand with her front feet in the house or on the threshold, and the rest of her is outside the door. But as soon as you look at her or look like you're going to move in that direction, she bolts and goes back in the yard further. So it's like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to accomplish anything. So, I told them not to leave the doors open when it's dark because we're just attracting all the bugs in the house, right? And my method is I will go outside, and as soon as I go outside, I will leave the door open at that point in time, and then I will kind of go the long way around. I don't have to go fully out in the yard. It's just part way through the yard, but I have to go and block the path that she's running, and then at some point she'll turn around and she'll bolt to the door, and then since I'm behind her, she won't go back out it. But it's even that is not an ideal way of doing it. But they're not going to put her on a leash or anything like that. They're just going to, bitch about it and let all the bugs in. So it's I told my brother, it's really aggravating because, the lady was talking about how she's come so far in the time she's been with us, but it's they literally do nothing. They'll let her outside and then might pet her while she's in the bed. She does sleep in their bed with them. She will let my mom brush her, but my mom can't just sit there and hold the dog and pet the dog without doing something. If she's going to be sitting there with the dog, she's going to be brushing her. And, it's fine to an extent, but that's also the only way Pepper gets attention too. So it's all you're doing is teaching them that the only way you will pay attention to them is if you are going to brush them. And if they don't want to be brushed, then that's less than ideal and they'll probably run away from you. So cool. There's just so so fucking aggravating. I was like, I sent my brother a message a little bit ago. It's like, she's innocent in all this. I said, it just pisses me off that the dog that I actively said many times that I didn't want any part of raising a new dog, I got 3 of my own, has become my project because I like animals better than people, and because I refuse to make that dog suffer just because my parents are assholes. So, now, that said, whenever I do get moved out of here, she's theirs, so, I feel like it's just going to prove how little they are doing when they have, I'm not there to make up for their lack of effort. So, she's just going to probably revert back to old habits and hiding and running. So, cool. And my brother just sent me a message, 11:11, a little bit ago. He said, yeah, you'll probably get to keep her when something happens to them. It's like, I've thought about it. It's like, on that end, God, I don't even know with my mom. I told my brother yesterday, it's like, honestly, I would be surprised if my dad makes it through the end of the year. I said, but I've been wrong before. There was a span of time where I could have absolutely seen him kicking the bucket before his birthday, and that didn't end up happening. So, and here we are, September. His birthday was July 5th, so still here so far. That's one of those things too, like, I've pictured having to be around his family after something happens to him, and it's like, I feel like at this point it's going to be a lot like I'm going to feel a lot like I did with my grandfather. It's like, I can't be sad because I realize how much of his bullshit is exactly why I am where I'm at this point in my life anyway, and I haven't done more than I have. It's like fucking 42 years old, and I'm just now figuring out things, like as far as what I would, like my painting and stuff, things I enjoy, and trying to find ways to make that something I can do, right? But I've talked many times about my lesson from the mama cardinal that put her nest in the rose bush in the front of our picture window. And first day, I opened it up, and there was no bird there. All I saw was a nest with a little brown, white and brown speckled egg. And I have to go get a drink. My throat's getting so scratchy. I didn't know what kind it was. My first guesstimation was a sparrow, because those are everywhere. And just because I hadn't seen anything more, right? But then the next day, she was sitting on the egg, and when I opened the curtain, she flew off, and I realized then that it was a mama cardinal, because then she's sitting on the branch of the tree looking at me. It's like, oh. And of course, that's always my thing, was opening the curtains, because I'm the one that likes the natural light in the house, and my parents will go, they might half-assed open a curtain if they want to see what the dogs are barking at or something, but it's like they don't actually open the curtains until the time I said, now I know that she's there, I want to make sure, that's a safe space for her, right? So then my dad starts opening the curtain so he can go sit in front of the window. It's like, yeah. And that day, when I went outside, well, actually, before I went outside, I looked in her nest when my dad, I think, was sitting in the chair in front of the window, and saw that there was no egg in the nest anymore. And then my mom's making fun of me, saying, what, you think she carried it away somewhere else? It's like, no, I think she got rid of it because she realized it's not a safe space. And, then I went and looked outside, and sure enough, it was on the like concrete edge of the foundation of the house, right? And it was all busted open. So it's like, yeah, what I thought had happened was what had happened, even though I had to get made fun of first. Yeah. I just hate my family, y'all. So what I realized, and it wasn't immediately, it was like a few days later, because that was, of course, disappointing. But I totally understood. It's like, it's not a safe space, especially with his dumbass going in front of the window and just, now he's gonna bust the curtains open and, so he can look outside and see what's going on, and plop his big ass down in the chair because he can't sit normal. So yeah, the fucking love seat in front of the picture window has 3 legs because he knocked one off because he can't sit normally. He has to. It's like, the fuck? Right? So he fixed it once, and then he sits the same way. It's like, did you really expect it to go differently if you're still plopping your big butt down? It's like, that is exactly what broke it the first time, and you couldn't figure that out. Yeah, right. So, anyway. Like with the bird, it was like a few days after that I made this connection. It's like, she deemed it wasn't safe, so she, destroyed the egg and left the nest. And of course, it's nature. She'll go, and I'm sure she had a nest somewhere else that ended up being a safer spot, and so everything was fine. But it's like the point that she deemed that space was not safe. I was like, that's exactly why I haven't done more with my life. It's like, that's exactly it, because everything that I've tried to do or thought about doing for myself in my life gets criticized or condemned in some kind of way, right? So, like, be there by 5, maybe. It's not 4 yet, so I got time. Maybe it'll be there after 5. Yeah. Oops, wasn't paying attention. Whatever. But anyway, like, with that whole situation, okay, like my bear, that's my big go-to, right? And has been since January, because, really even before then, because that was the first time I entered a contest. And the only reason I entered the contest, the zoo sent out the newsletter saying that they were looking for pictures of their animals to use for, like, this. The prize was for your picture to be the centerfold, right? And so it was supposed to be the centerfold, but they, like, flipped it over. So there were 2 pictures at the centerfold, and then mine was on the back of it. So it's like, even that, it's like, this is the kind of stuff that always, kind of supported the idea that I wasn't meant to do more in my life, right? But anyway, so the picture. The only reason I submitted it then was because I posted a bunch of pictures from, that was from Zubu 2023. And we took Gracie, and then I posted all the pictures. And, like, that one didn't even get, like, nobody said anything about it online, which, that's kind of hit and miss if you're just posting pictures and whatnot. There were several things that people did like or acknowledge, but that wasn't one of them. I thought it was a really good picture of the bear. So I figured, okay, maybe somebody else will get some enjoyment out of my picture too, right? So that was my thinking when I submitted the picture. I submitted that one. I submitted the tigress over there, and the elephants, and the bear was the one that won. And no, kid just whining at me. The bear won. She's gonna bark. Don't bark. Good girl. My uncle's out there playing ball with his dog, so it's like if she comes over on this side, she'll see him and then she'll just start yelling, because that's what they do. Anyway, so the bear. You know, they didn't say anything about a prize package. It said simply the chance to be the centerfold for the Zoo magazine spring summer edition, right? And it's like, all right, maybe somebody else will get some enjoyment out of my picture since nobody else, you know, nobody else did, and you know, on Facebook or whatever. It's like, I'll submit there. So I did. Only because there wasn't a prize package, right, that they talked of. And then when I won, this was January that I found out, right? I find out I win. Within a half an hour, my parents find a way to completely hijack the moment and make it about them and bickering and their stupid shit. And then I ended up spending the rest of the day crying because they hijacked the thing. And so since that happened before the deal with the Cardinal happened, you know, once the Cardinal thing happened, then it was, this is why I don't, or why I've never tried to do more. It's like, because anytime I've tried to invest myself in something, they find a way to fuck it up. So it's like, you know, like the bird, you know, I deemed it wasn't safe, so the way to, you know, resolve that issue was to destroy the thing rather than to try anyway, because I already know it's not safe to do the thing, right? They're gonna fuck it up somehow. That's what they do. Well, like even down to just freaking yesterday and hijacking the whole damn day. Yeah. But you know, like everything that I've started learning once I started setting boundaries with the bullshit that I was allowing them to pull me into, you know, because before, you know, when my grandfather was still around, I was still going over there to help pick him up off the floor, even though it's going to be this whole big bickering bullshit mess. You know, so we get called over there at like 3 o'clock in the morning to pick him up because he fell out of bed. You're not supposed to call the fire department or anything, even though it would make more sense because, you know, they're actually equipped to be able to pick people up better than I can. And yeah, you know, so then we gotta hear the bullshit out of his mouth about, you know, how awful everybody is and, you know, him being a condescending dickwad. It's like, okay, I've also talked on here a lot about how after he broke his femur in August last year, I was, you know, okay, he breaks his femur 2 days before my concert, and it's like, he's not fucking up my concert, I'm still going to that, right? So I did, and it was fine. But of course, he and my mom were trash talking the whole point of how unsafe it is and all this crap. It's like, promise, that is like, me going to a concert by myself is far safer than me hanging out with this goddamn family. Just because they're miserable fucking people. Go to the concert. It was good. Actually, it was the concert before that, the one that was at the fairgrounds, that I heard nonstop about how dangerous it was because the fairgrounds are so bad. 38th and anything is terrible and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I am confident I will be safer there without my family in my head. But even, you know, going to that first concert, it was, you know, I still had to just keep reminding myself, it's like, I am safe. I did not come this far to only come this far. The universe did not bring me this far in my life just to, like, kill me and, like, before anything starts getting good. I'm confident that that is not the case. So, you know, I just kept telling myself I was going to be okay, everything's going to work out just fine, it's perfectly safe, and it was, it was good. And then I even, at all of the things that I have gone to by myself now, I've even talked to people that I wouldn't have talked to had I had somebody else with me. And it's not, there were no conversations that I didn't make a new best friend or anything, but I could at least talk to people on my own. So it's fine. But yeah, and when I think the bigger thing with the second one after my grandfather broke his leg was my brother was supposed to go to that one with me. And then my mom was trying to use that to make him feel like shit. And me and my brother both told her the same thing. It's like, that's not the crowd of people that I need to be concerned about. It's like, I promise you that everybody that is at this concert has enough of their own shit that they're not concerned about bringing everybody else into their shit. So it's like, they're probably mainly going to focus on their own bullshit and leave me alone. But we both said basically the same thing. It's like, these aren't the people I have to worry about. Anyway, so after he broke his leg, I was the good, diligent granddaughter that I was supposed to be, that I was always raised to, that I had to be, right? And I made sure my grandmother and my aunt were able to get up to the hospital every day to visit his bitch ass. And my mother was living in the hospital with him, right? Every single time Daddy was in the hospital, she was right there letting him suck the life out of her, because that's what she was trained to do. So, so she stayed up there all the time, and I was making daily trips to get my aunt and my grandmother there. And then as he got moved to the rehab facility, he went to the rehab hospital in Greenwood after that. I woke up one morning, I think I'd been out there a couple times, but I woke up one morning and I was just like crying, and I was thinking, it was like I was having this conversation with him. It's like, I have mourned your death for 33 years and you have not died yet. I will not mourn your death any longer. And that was pretty much it, right? Like, there was this moment at the funeral where I did cry a little bit, and it had nothing to do with the fact that he was gone. It was more that I was thinking about, it's like, how drastically different my experience of this dickhead of a man was versus everybody else, because everybody else is, actually sad that, the old shithead died. But it's like, my experience was, why did I not have any of that? It's like, why do I not have the good memories? It's like, but I don't. And it's that whole, every narcissistic family needs a freaking scapegoat. That's me. So, in this one, so it's like, it was never about being sad that he was gone, even now. Thank God he's finally gone. And it's not just, our existence isn't obsessing over his fucking death and the possibility of him dying. It's like, you're not supposed to live forever, but hopefully you've at least lived decently enough that other people might miss you. I mean, quite frankly, I think his death is one worth celebrating. And I'm kind of at that point with my father too, right? And I told my brother last night, it's like, I honestly feel like my father resents me because I'm not doing the shit for him that my mother did for her daddy. And that was what he basically expected, because, that's the energetic agreement he entered into by keeping my grandfather's stupid ass illusion alive. It doesn't matter who gets harmed in the process as long as his ass is taken care of, right? But it's like, no, I'm done catering to toxic assholes. I'm done. And unfortunately, sometimes I have to be reminded, painfully, of that point. And, you know, because my natural tendency is to try to help where I can. So, you know, of course, you know, like yesterday, I was going to go with my mother to help with the paint situation that she and my grandmother are concerned about, but I want no part of painting my grandmother's deck. First off, it doesn't need it this year anyway. However, the weather is nicer and it would be okay to do at this point in time, but I kind of feel like she should just pay somebody else to do it because I don't want to. But I went along yesterday to help with the paint situation. Mainly because I did not know my father was going. And he ended up going. And it's like, he is like the number one person. It's like, I have no interest in being around him. It's like, so if he's like, I don't know. Yeah, you know, like when he's staggering all over the place, it's like, it's my mom's job to help him stay upright because she willingly caters to his bullshit like she did for my grandfather. Even though she's a lot bitchier about, she doesn't like having to do this stuff for my father because, you know, because there's so much of it that he just doesn't care about himself. Yeah. Let's go back to that argument last night of, what was it she said? She was going on about how she feels bad for him. She really understands that he didn't ask for this and blah, blah, blah. I said, that's bullshit. I said, he absolutely asked for this. He asked for it every single time. He stopped taking his meds knowing that, you know, there are potential consequences from, you know, just abruptly stopping all of your, like, high blood pressure meds and, like, all these things. Because, like, I think she said he's on, like, 3 or 4 different high blood pressure meds. Alone, and then, you know, also diabetic meds and all sorts of other things. It's like, so he actively made that decision, and more recently he actively made that decision to stop using a CPAP for 2 weeks. So yeah, he kind of does have some kind of death wish and doesn't give a shit about how it affects anybody else but him. He thinks it's supposed to make us step up and cater to his shit more, and I'm fucking done. I will not do it. And then just like the whole idea of having to be around his family or anybody else when they're going to try to approach me at a funeral to, you know, say they're sorry or some shit, and what am I supposed to do? Just, he fucking brought it on himself. I don't even care. You say that, you're gonna bring all sorts of everybody's freaking out because, you know, finally said the thing that needs to be said. But I just don't care anymore. Like, I'm tired of caring more about everybody else's shit at the expense of myself. Because, you know, all that does is you're taking care of everybody else, but who's taking care of you? Right? So, you know, my mom will go around and around on how she can't believe she might lose her husband before she loses her mom and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, you can. It's like, first off, her mother, you know, my grandma's mom, my great grandma, I adored her. You know, she wasn't perfect by any means, but it wasn't about being perfect. She was at least she was somebody that I could actually tell actually cared about me, right? It's like most of my family, that doesn't exist. So it's about falling into line. You're acceptable as long as you fall into line and do what you're supposed to, and, you know, just fucking respond how the stupid asshole men want you to respond in order to keep their illusion of life and make everybody think that you have some happy family when you, quite frankly, don't give a shit if they're gone. Um, I'm tired. That's the biggest thing right now. Is I'm just tired, and it's like, yes, physically, because I was up way later than I wanted to be. I don't enjoy all-nighters anymore. And, you know, especially when I'm wasting time at the hospital for my father, who yet again stopped doing something that's supposed to help his freaking health stuff because he doesn't give a shit about himself, right? And let's go back to his birthday year before, 2024, right? So his birthday 2024, we went out for lunch at Cracker Barrel. I think it was my parents, me, and my brother, his wife, and his daughter, and we're all there. And of course, me and my brother have this tendency to kind of, you know, we poke fun where we can and try to lighten the moods. That's like a big thing, you know. Anytime, you know, me and him get along great because we see all the same bullshit with the family, and we can, you know, we can talk about it, but at the same time we can also joke and try to lighten the mood a little bit, and, you know, try to not make it all bleh, whatever. But my dad was just being a dick that day, and my brother was like, cheer up, old man. He's like, what's going on? Why are you so down? And, you know, just trying to figure out what's going on with my father on his birthday, because we're all out to lunch on his birthday. And he says, I just really thought I'd be dead by now. Like, cool. You could be grateful for the fact that your family's around and actually here to potentially enjoy time with you, but no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to go straight to the shit of why the fuck am I still alive, right? So it's like, I don't care. Sorry if you see my snot bubbles. Cool. And also my nose ring shifted. Hold on, I'm going to fix that. Okay, so blew my nose, now I'm better. I had a thought too that and then as soon as I started the phone I forgot it. I don't know. It'll come back to me if it's meant to, I guess. After my aunt had her appointment, we went to the library. Because I told her, it's like, I have this tendency, it's like I get movies from the library, and then sometimes I watch some of them, and sometimes I watch as the, you know, I keep getting the emails each week saying that they've been renewed or they couldn't be renewed or whatever. And so usually I'll see the ones where they get renewed, but I'll miss the ones that didn't get renewed, and then I end up getting fines because it's like the same thing over and over again. It's like sometimes I watch the movie, sometimes I don't get around to it. It's like, but when I want to watch a movie, I like to have options, right? So I have this big selection of library movies. Like, I don't have a bunch of movies here anyway, but whatever. Not the same. It's like I'm trying to get caught up on all the horror movies that I always missed out on because of just stupid people and stupid ideas that I got brainwashed with in my early years or whatever. And, oh, those are so bad. You know, even on that end. I watched one the other day. I think it was Heretic. No. You can leave if you're going to start barking. Get up here. Come on. This is the problem we have. Come on. He's down here wanting to get up here, and she goes over there on patrol so she can be a butthead and not let him up. So hold on. Stop. You're not up here to be a pain in the butt. He's like, I exist to be a pain in the butt. Anyway. Now that one's going. they started figuring out my system as far as, you know, what I say on the videos. And then, you know, sometimes just, I don't know, but now it's like they're getting to be bigger pains in the butt in different spaces when I'm trying to do a video, because they think I should be done, or they're ready for me to be done, or whatever. It's just a big pain in the ass. And now Taz is here, in my way from where I was sitting. Distract him with licking my foot. Cool. Anyway, I think, was it Heretic? I don't think that was the one that day. I was watching some horror movie. I think it was maybe Evil Dead that he walked in on, and it's literally this. Okay, so here is my door. I leave it open so the dogs can come and go, right? If we are not in here, and I don't want Pepper coming in here because she will occasionally pee on my floor if she's pissed at me, I'll leave the door shut. If I am in here, I leave it open so the dogs can come and go. Because if they hear anything in the kitchen, like if my parents are, you know, messing in the cheese drawer, that's the big important one. You know, as soon as they hear that, they're in there. Like, as soon as somebody's in the kitchen, there might be food involved, right? So they'll have to go check it out. So if I don't leave the door open, then I have to contend with opening it, right? So I was watching a movie, and I had the door open so the dogs can come and go, and my dad shows up in the doorway and starts looking at my TV. And of course, my TV is exactly across from, well, I mean, not, it's like, as my room's at the end of the hallway, right? So you look in the door, you can see my TV, because you're already coming from that angle anyway. And so he stops in the door. Every single time I have a movie on, he's got to stand there and look to see what I'm watching. Which is partly why I'm on this horror movie kick, I think, as much as anything. But anyway, so I was playing Evil Dead. I'm pretty sure it was Evil Dead. And he stands there, and he's just staring at it. And then he says, "What are you watching?" And I said, "Evil Dead." He just figures and walks off. It's like, see? Why do you need to speak? You don't. You don't need to stand there either. Just because the door is open does not mean you are invited to have some kind of opinion or interact with me in any kind of way. If you got to hear the glory of Taz's butt making noises at me, they're probably thinking that they're home, and they're not yet, because, you know, I have to go get them. Even though I don't want to, I would like to leave them there. But alas, not my house. I just stay here for the time being, until I can figure out how to have pretty good boundaries and not get pulled into their chaos all the fucking time. I think it's the biggest reason. But also, while the other pieces fall into place to get me the fuck up out of here. Oh, this is so irritating. The other day, we had a bunch of sticks on the burn pile, and my uncle was ready to burn them. And I had started this scrapbook that I was going to make for my mom, and it had like band stuff. You know, that was the focus. It was like all band pictures and, you know, organizing things all nicely and whatnot. And I started this stupid thing like 13 years ago, I think, because I was with my ex, and we had, you know, shortly after we got married. So 12 years ago, because we were living in the Wanamaker house. And, you know, it was a nice little house. It had this upstairs room that was like, oh, there's a shadow puff in my door. Oh, no. I started to move my phone that way so I could see if I could, like, flip the camera around. She just, like, took off. But anyway, I had this big room upstairs that had a desk in it.
And at one point, it was just kind of a catch-all space, right? So after we'd been there for a little while, I got it organized and had it so it was usable. And it was basically an oversized office. And because like this room used to be my office, and it's like 12 by 12, and it was like significantly bigger than that even. But anyway, I had like this chair that Ziva would sit in up there with me. I had space to put the scrapbooking stuff. I had like one of those folding tables that I had put out. It was one of those great big, like 6 feet long ones. And so I had like all these pictures and all this stuff out on this table. And I got a chunk of it. The other day when my uncle decided he was ready to burn stuff, because I had been saving that to burn. My mom knew about it at some point in time, and it was just kind of at this point. She kept saying the Christmas present I haven't got yet or whatever, because I did give her what I had at one point in time because it was something that I was working on. So, then it just became this thing that she was always reminding me that I hadn't done this thing yet. So it was like, didn't matter why or what might have gotten in the way. Like after that house, after we moved out of that house, I moved back in up here, and my ex went to Alabama for a while for job training, and then he went to Germany for 6 months. I think he was in Alabama for like 2 months and then Germany for 6. So in that time, I was staying here with my parents again, rather than having to pay for like another space, for what? We don't know what's happening on any of that. And then, of course, when the company that he worked for paid for families to go out to Germany to, visit, and not answering a spam call. I wouldn't have even answered it if it was my mom. It's just annoying me that I see the thing up there now, but I fucked that up before, and so I'm going to let it just play out. But anyway, the company paid for families to go out there, right? So it was easier then for me to be here and, have people, Ziva stayed with my mom and dad for that week. And I think the cat was at my former in-laws' house at that time. But, we got permission from the child's mother for him to go to Germany with me. And it was fine. Of course, she, much like my family does for me, she made sure to like ruin the whole thing for the kid because, it should have been cool that, the middle child was able to go spend time with his dad and get this free trip out to Germany to, spend time with his dad out there. But instead, when he got back, he had like this, he got this like knight helmet kind of a thing and some kind of sword, a little wooden sword, and something else. The helmet he lost on the plane, and we didn't even realize he didn't have it until we were like already way off the plane and going to the next spot, right? And there's I think it was like a UK stop or whatever, like for the next flight, and it's like we're already off. It's like, sorry dude, it's like that was your thing to keep an eye on and to have. It's like I was keeping track of everything else, and like the one big thing, it's like he ended up losing it. It's like, well, that sucks. But then he still had, I think there was like a plasticky type, not a full suit, but like the, like a breastplate kind of a thing, that he had. And the wooden sword, when he got back home, his older brother fucked it up. And his mom would, they'd let him. And yeah, so it's like he wasn't allowed to talk about the trip to anybody because his brothers might get jealous. It's like just that kind of shit. It's like, that's exactly why I was in this kid's life. Because before I was even fully aware of what was going on with my own family, I was able to see the shit that was going on with him and how he was getting, you know, made to feel like shit over, you know, the fact that he got to go on a free trip to Germany because his dad took this job. You know, that should have been something that was kind of cool, right? But instead, he's not allowed to talk to his brothers about it because they might get jealous. You know, his mom didn't want to hear about it because she hated his dad. And so anything that maybe didn't sound like his dad just being a complete and total dickhead, which, I mean, most of the time he was, don't get me wrong. You know, it's like the times that he should have just been able to enjoy something for the sake of being a kid, and the way that they were shitting on it. It's like, I stood up for that kid with a lot of different things. And, you know, like, starting out when I first was around their family, my ex and his parents, you know, calling them out on their bad behavior for setting him up to fail because they thought it was funny to load him up on sugar and caffeine before he went home to his mom. It's like, you know he's going to get in trouble when he gets there. Why is that what you want him to go with? You know, so they did, you know, I basically called it out, and then they did stop doing that. But then it was like all these other things that, you know, were still issues. I don't know. So it's like, I got to stand up for this kid who's, you know, the only thing he done was exist, right? It's like, he didn't ask to be born into this situation, especially with like this whole shitty family situation with his mom and dad literally hating each other, and all that crap. It's like, he didn't ask for that, but he got shat upon continuously because of that. And then, you know, after, you know, my situation with that ex wasn't good either. So then when I finally got out of that situation, then it's like, okay, but how did I get into that situation? Because that was no good from the get-go. And then, you know, of course, it's led me back to this existence, right? So where, you know, back here with my parents at this point in time, and realizing, the biggest thing is realizing that I was not, okay, I exist because they wanted somebody else that they could suck the life out of. So it could extend their lives longer, energetic vampire thing, and deplete me at my expense, and they get away with it. So then once I started realizing what was actually happening and pulling, you know, detaching from that and pulling back my energy, then it's like, the fuck? I didn't ask for this either. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yet, the more I've tried to make things better for anybody, the more I've been shat upon, because they don't value my time or my energy or anything. They just think they're obligated to it because I'm their daughter, right? Or the granddaughter or whatever. It's like, fuck you. Fuck all of you. So, on this end, it makes perfect sense about why the shit with my parents is currently going on, and why yesterday went the way that it did, and all this stuff, because, you know, I've talked many times about how I'm confident where I'm at now is just the universe is going to keep presenting me with, this is how it is here. You know, because it was not that long ago that I did a video and was talking about how I still am inclined to feel bad at the idea of not wanting anything to do with my family, right? But it's like, I think that is what the universe is working on me for, is I cannot feel bad about doing that. I have to choose me, because God knows they never will. They haven't to this point. Like, they are not in support of me doing anything worthwhile with my time, right? So let's go back to my bear over here, you know, and fucking ruining my day because I won a contest. And then, you know, as I was realizing that they were the reasons I would never have put in for something like that before, it's like I've sabotaged myself. Damn near everything that has been an opportunity or could have been an opportunity because I didn't want them to ruin it. And that's all they do. They exist to ruin things for me because I'm not doing my part as far as they're concerned, right? I'm supposed to exist to take care of their asses when they don't, you know, when they haven't taken care of themselves, you know, that they coddled their parents and enabled their bad behavior, but that's what I'm supposed to do for them, but I'm not doing that for them, so they're getting pissy because I'm not doing what they brought me into this world to do. Cool. I think I did mention that. Oh, go ahead. I have this fireball thing. It's like, it actually, my brother and sister-in-law got it for my parents, but they had just gotten a different thing for the porch. Rather than taking it back, it just kind of went into storage. And then it ended up, I was going to take it, you know, so it kind of became my thing. My mom has mentioned that if I help her sell some things that she would, you know, let me keep some of the money out of it and whatnot. So there's some of that, but this one, it's like I was trying to keep her oblivious of it just so I didn't have to listen to her say anything about it. But she figured it out, so whatever. But when I asked her to borrow the money for the concert the other night, because nothing else was selling at that point in time, it's like I would like to get a shirt at this concert, but at the same time, I'm not going to make any money between here and the concert, so can I borrow this? You know, and it was like, yeah, okay. So on the way, after I finally sucked it up and was like, hey, can I borrow this? And then, you know, she made it work, and on the way to the concert, somebody asked me about that thing. It's like, of course, that's the most expensive thing that I have posted currently, because it's new in a box, right? It's just been in storage all these years. So I had somebody ask me about it, and they asked me if I would take a little less off of it. I was like, yeah, I could do that. That's not a problem. And then she sent me a message. When I was on my way to the concert, she sent me a message and said she could pick it up right then. It's like, if it was an hour ago, I could do that, but I can't now. It's like I'm on my way to a concert, so it's just not going to happen this evening. So she said she would yesterday. Well, then she forgot about it until like almost 8 o'clock, and it's like, nah. It's like, we can try it again tomorrow. So I sent her a message earlier today because I had enough money that was going to cover this thing that I had due to come out today. It was in there. And then I got a message saying that it couldn't be processed. It's like, what happened? And there's this thing that I had clicked on the other day, and it was like this little dollar thing that wouldn't have been a problem. However, it kept popping these ads up afterwards. And since I just given them the approval for this dollar so I could check this information that they had, it tacked on a $30 payment. It's like, no, and I sent a message immediately and said, I did not intend to click on this damn thing. It's like, it's got so many damn pop-ups. I couldn't process what I was trying to, find my way to the dollar thing. I never did figure that out, so that was just a waste of $1. But yeah, it just got in the way of my payment today, so since that was the case, it'll be reversed, because I already told them to cancel it. But PayPal had a delay. So, yeah. So I sent a message earlier and asked if she would still be able to get it. Okay, so my mom said that I should be there at 5. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll go to the storage unit and get this Firebolt thing and put it in the back of the other car, and then go deal with my parents if I must. Show over these people. She looks like she's smiling at me. Hi, Gidgy. You can't, I mean, you can kind of tell, but yeah, there it is. But yeah, just every now and then she just looks like she's grinning at me. It's like, aw, and it's not the panting that, you know, most people want to attribute to. So, anyway, but yeah, I might go ahead and go handle that. On the other hand, if I don't leave, if I'm not there at 5, right, when she said that I'm supposed to be there, which I don't think that, why would I go to the hospital at a certain time if they haven't already got the paperwork yet? I agree, right? There's no point in doing that. No, come here. Hi. But yeah, I don't want to have it in the car because I don't want them to talk to me about it. And yeah. I don't know. You know, and I mentioned in yesterday's video, it's like, I said borrow the money, and it's like, I don't know that I'm going to count that as a borrowing of the money, because this dog that I didn't want, I've had to do an awful lot of work with, and she's getting the glory with the, you know, the lady at the rescue talking about how, you know, she's come so far in this little bit of time she's been with, you know, my mom and my dad. So, you know, they just knew she was in the perfect home, right? So it's like, the only reason she's doing anywhere near as good as she is because I've been working with her, right? The only reason she's gone through the dog door at all is because I've had her on the leash so I could catch her and could push her through it a little bit. You know, that's the only reason, you know, because I want her to know that, you know, she can figure out how to do this. So maybe one day she'll figure it out on her own. I don't know what the likelihood of that will be once I am out of this situation and take my dogs with me. But, you know, me and my dogs are her best bet at learning anything, so I feel like that does warrant some, you know, especially when, you know, I mentioned last night my mom came damn near, I mean, she was like, you know, maybe a couple inches from my face with that damn cane that she, you know, acted like she was going to hit me with because she saw the shirt that I had gotten from the concert. It was like, first off, hit me in the fucking face. Do it. You hit me in the fucking face, and I will leave your ass here. And she's like, you're not going to do that. She goes, I got the keys. It's like, I got keys too. It's like, I don't care that it's your car. You're being a dickhead, and you're going to, like, try to fucking hit me in the face because you don't approve of the shirt that I got at the concert last night. It's like, no, I'll just take your shit so you don't have any of your conveniences to stay here all night with your husband. You know, but honestly, at this point, I'm just going to be grateful that she, you know, was at least out of the house for the time being. And drag my feet about going over there to get them because I don't want to. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up so I can maybe go collect the Firebolt and have it ready to go meet the girl somewhere else. For all that fun stuff. And yeah, and then get ready to post these later when I get back, I guess. But as always, I appreciate you. Until the next time, see ya.